This is number 5 of 8 town hall meetings. Can everybody hear me in the back?
Yeah.
All right, I'll use my big person's voice. So thank you all for coming again. This is our 5th of number 8, 5 of 8 of our town hall meeting. So thank you. I would like to thank the DAV for allowing us to be here this evening. The goal is, the same as all the last ones. We have department heads that are here as well. And if they have any announcements, we'll share those. But the goal is to have our department heads here so that they can help answer any questions as well. I'll give a few updates on a couple of things and a couple of announcements before we get into Q&A. The goal is really to have you ask the questions and then us to try to answer them. So I don't sit up here and try to have a long conversation and do all that. It's really about you. You can either fill out the card if you don't want to stand up and ask the question, but I will give a few updates. Number one, I know that several people may want to ask questions about the data center. My NDA expired on August 7th, so I don't have anything to share with you. As I stated before, I did kind of remove myself from that process. So that is a fact. I did submit a revocation of my NDA. So if you're here for that, I don't have a lot to share with you about it, except for I know I had a question, so I'm going to answer that question about it. I know that it's the council tabled it into their first meeting next week on the data center. But as far as me and the nuts and bolts of that, I don't have a whole lot to offer you for the data center. So if that's what you're here for, I'm sorry. I just don't have a lot. But I will kind of give you the facts of the numbers, because a question came up about the money and what was being offered. So with that, the package that was offered is $25.5 million. There is an EDI. People are making some assumptions that that money goes to the Economic Development Corporation. It has nothing to do with them. The EDI is something that I requested before I said no, that we create a fund that goes specifically to the city, that is guaranteed to the city, and that it doesn't go anywhere else. And so that's $500,000 a year plus $5.5 million up front over the course of the 40 years. So again, it has nothing to do with them. Now, there's $1 million that was set aside for the EDC. We pay the EDC right now $200,000 a year. They go, all these developments you see, $200,000 is what we pay them. In 2028, Michigan City is going to have a shortfall of $3.7 million due to Senate Enrolled Act 1. So I just want to give y'all some facts so that all the misinformation about who's getting what, the money that is in that agreement is going to the city of Michigan City, the $500,000 and the 5.5. Now, that's $25.5 million. That does not include the TIF dollars that are going to be generated, which is another $25 million. So you're talking about $50 million. So I just want to make sure I clear that up. But I know the city council has a meeting next Tuesday. But again, if you got questions about anything with it, I've been out of the process and out of the loop for a while. So I just want to make sure that I state that. Another thing that I wanted to give an update on because it's important is tomorrow we are hosting our first ever drug overdose and opioid awareness walk at City Hall at 5 o'clock. We're going to have service providers there. There's some stuff on the table, and I left the flyers in the bag. But tomorrow at 5 p.m., we're only walking from City Hall down to the train station and back. And then we're going to have service providers downstairs. And I would like to thank Robin Serber. She kind of helped spearhead this, but we're going to do Narcan training after that from 5:30. We'll be there from 5:30 to about 7:30. So we'll have multiple providers there, and we just want to make sure that if you can come out, please come out and walk with us so that we can shed some light on awareness for that. And wear purple. Purple is the color. So, and I have some pins and some things there for that. So I just wanted to share that. I do want to bring Chief Corley up for a second. I know I'm putting him on the spot, but one of the things we had a kind of a round table to discuss some of the gun violence that has happened, and I want to make sure we give a couple of updates around that, because I know there were conversations. We met with some youth organizations, the NAACP, and some other folks that participated. Our prosecuting attorney was there as well, Sean Fagan. We had representatives from the Sheriff's Department, and I thought it was a good conversation, but it's a start. One of the things I do want to share from that is there was two different things. It was prevention and what to do today. There was a distinct difference in, yeah, we can do prevention and we have all these wonderful organizations, but we need to make sure that we start getting all our organizations to talk to one another and to kind of have some conversations so that even though there may be an overlap of services, I think there is some synergies that can happen amongst multiple organizations that can help with us moving forward to at least capture some of the younger kids on the front end. But just any updates that you might have that you might want to share.
Yeah, so we have, in a couple of cases, we have some breaks. Actually, today I brought with me our commander of our investigation division, Captain Urbancic, and also his Sergeant Lindell Hood. And so we've been working the cases. There have been some things that have happened that have given us peace these last 3 weeks. As you can see, I've always told the mayor and I've always touted that there's a small percentage of people that are causing these issues in our community. And last year we had a 17% decrease in crime. Those individuals are locked up. Now they're out and we're dealing with some other issues. We have done some different things on our patrol level as far as how we patrol in certain spots. We are again, doing things with our investigative division, they're also working with the Port County Drug Task Force in order to investigate some of these crimes. So you have a set of just investigations doing their thing. They're working together in-house in unison to bring these cases to light. The one case is there's a person in custody. There's another case where we're working on several people possibly in custody. And then our last case, a person is wanted on that one. And we just are in the midst of looking for them. I will say today at our table, we brought some things I think it's important that we've been talking for the last year and a half about, but we're going to keep talking about it, is our camera registry. It's another big important prevention piece for the community. Again, it doesn't give us any access to your cameras. All it does is let us know you have them, and we can request video and stuff from your cameras when we have things that happen in the area. Also, when you talk about gun prevention, we have some gun locks there. And then to also give you all a better understanding of how we do work and what we do in the police department and build better relationships, we have applications for our Citizens Police Academy, which is coming up here also. So again, I don't have no fancy law and order or first 48 hours things to tell you right now. But as far as the right now stuff, those are some key pieces. But the biggest thing is if you see something, say something. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we get information 2 weeks old, or, so it's hard for me to go back 2 weeks. But if you call me today, about what you saw, and again, just because you don't get the response that you think, you may not get 5 police cars coming. But if we do have the information, it's easier for us to follow up from day one and have to backtrack to it. So again, just let you all know, we are working hard to continue to make sure our crime stays low and under control. We have a dedicated 82 officers dedicated to, making sure that happens. And again, if you know anything about crime or anything about prevention or anything about policing, it's fluid. What we do last year may have to be tweaked for this year and going and continued on. And we'll continue to make those adjustments. But again, the biggest thing that we need is community support and cooperation when it comes down to our operations.
Yeah, and I'll add, yesterday we had our coffee with the seniors, and we kind of talked a little bit more about some of the incidents and things that have happened, and expectations and what that looks like. So again, what I'm going to do right now is let's stay on this subject, and then I'll open up for other things. So if we have questions, I'm going to give the microphone to Drew so that we can stay on this topic first, and then I'll just take all your cards and we'll start answering questions, because I think that was top of mind, but it's been quiet for the last couple of weeks, and we have people in custody, and it's been quiet since. So any questions for the chief or for any of our detectives?
May I quickly
Yes.
just, the one thing that I want to make sure, obviously, we don't have speakers here in the room, but what is important with this microphone is that we ultimately want you to be heard with the version that we ultimately make available to everybody to be able to watch on YouTube. So it's very important that if you are speaking, you're asking a question, please make sure that you wave me down so I can bring the microphone to you, because if you don't have the microphone, we won't be able to hear you on the recording, okay? I'm willing to put in the steps. Lord knows I need it. But please raise your hand and I will come over to you as quickly as I can. And please give as many questions as you need.
Mm-hmm. Any questions? Yes.
In regards to the crimes that are being committed, particularly those that involve gun violence, are we establishing that there are any common characteristics of the perpetrators or the circumstances that are going on? Age, gender, employment status, education status, location? Are there common factors that can help us then look at prevention efforts around what's happening?
So I'll let Marty, Chief Corley, answer that about the time and place that these are occurring in the ages.
Yeah, so you're looking at late night in between the times of anywhere from 10:30 to 3:30 in the morning, early, those late night hours. A couple of our common places have been the gas station on the boulevard, where we had a couple of those incidents happen. And then the one across the street from Mabey's. Again, we have tailored our patrol efforts to between those times to do certain things. Again, I could put more cops out on the street all day long, but again, that's just going to be a very, very temporary part. And again, once we get some of these actors locked up again, you will see, like we just had 4 weeks of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because certain actors are locked up. But I think really what we need to start focusing on is our long term, what we're going to do after this, those things that really are going to give your more bang for your buck prevention long term, instead of, saying what we do today or tomorrow in the coming days. So those are when you talk about actors and, time period, it's late nights after 10:30, 11:30 at night, early up until maybe about 3:34 in a couple of different locations that has happened at. So
One of our conversations at the meeting that we had at City Hall really focused on, once they're incarcerated, what is happening inside. And it was, where did he go? Where did Brian? He's back there. And Brian shared with us that, the services inside, you come inside, we're not addressing any type of mental health, or there's one social worker for the whole entire, sheriff's department, part-time, however that works. But then when they come out, what type of services are available or what is provided, because it's easy to say, you know, I was watching something, some documentary, and a young man was incarcerated, got out, and tried to work a 9 to 5. Okay, when you've never worked a 9 to 5, and then there's an expectation that you're going to take care of bills and house and all this other stuff, it's a cycle. It's a cycle, and I don't think anybody's addressing that. I mean, it requires resources for it, and I think that's something that prosecutor's office, the sheriff's department, the city department, our police department, those are things that are harder conversations that require resources and money, right? And given a minimum wage job or something like that is not going to be it. Providing a $10 an hour job is not going to be it. So those conversations are going to continue to happen. You know, what happens, because, you know, bringing a speaker in, are we going to get the right people to the table to have the conversation? We all, as providers and want to do prevention, can talk, but are we really getting to the root of the matter and addressing the ones that are impacted the most? I don't think so. I don't think so. So those are just longer conversations that we have to have. So any other questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, thank you. You gave me a great transition to a question that I wanted to ask, and part of it is like the prosecutor's office and the courts. So people are getting locked up. They're going before the judge. The prosecutor's letting the judge get away with giving them probation over and over and over and over again, right? Does that happen? Would you agree? Yes.
I would say there are certain times, and I think that's a conversation with the judges that we have to have, because
Exactly. And then,
you'll see, you know, social media talks, the streets talk about who's let out multiple times and who's continued to do things. So
then part of that question is, do you think repetitive probation sends the message that crime has no punishment? And do you think county prosecutors and judges have as much accountability as the criminals in the violence in Michigan City? And I just wanted to add, some of these criminals are bad actors, and these are the types of people that you can refer to the federal government. Will you and your police department commit to referring dangerous criminals like a guy by the name of Kwanzi Merriweather, who was shooting up Seymour Street earlier in the year? He's been put, you know, some of these people get put away for 6 years. I know we can't help them all, but at least they're off the street and they're out of our way.
So our police department, and I'll let Chief Corley answer that, but I will say this. I know that some officers have been disheartened by doing all the work and then people getting let out or getting a light sentence. But the prosecutor prosecutes. The judges decide what the penalty is. So that's a whole conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as far as a federal question, we actually, when I talked about the LaPorte County Drug Task Force and our investigation bureau, we actually have ATF and DEA working out of our office. So anytime there is enough of the crime to go federally, we do charge federally. Again, the federal government is not as plain as you see it on social media. They have other requirements, and there were some times they were taking certain things, and other times they weren't taking things. And so, anytime that we can refer or charge somebody federally, we do. Again, we have not only ATF and DEA in our office, but we have several of our detectives who are task force out to the ATF and DEA, and we're also working with the FBI also.
Great, thanks. I think you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
But let me add something, because some of these are juveniles, and I think, even in our conversation, we were talking about juveniles being charged as adults. I'm not a fan of that. And let me say that sometimes there are multiple times that you have to try with certain individuals. And I'm not saying that in trying to let people off the hook kind of way, but I think sometimes, again, we were talking about the mental health piece of it. We had someone talk about trauma-informed care. There's a lot of different things that are included in trying to make sure that some of our younger people are successful. Everybody doesn't have a mom and dad at home. Everybody, so I'm not making excuses, but what I'm saying, there has to be a balance of some sort as well. Any other questions around? Y'all quiet.
Hi. With reference to the judges, particular judges that give lighter sentences, I think it is on us when it comes to elections to do the research about these judges and carry our decisions to the ballot box.
Thank you. That's a good comment. Any other?
You know, along those lines there, in different places, they have court advocacy groups that are members of the public that work with the police department. So when these troublesome cases come up, people show up in court and it gives a message to the judge that people are here from the community and want something done. Is that something you'd support, Mayor?
Yeah, I would.
Is that something that could be done?
The easy one. I mean, if people want to organize and send a message to judges about people staying in, or, hey, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think people go to the court, I don't think that happens at all. So that could be an interesting thing, but I've never heard of it. So any other questions or comments? How about from some of the people who were at the round table we had? Any comments or questions? All right, that's easy. Thank you, Chief. All right, we got a list of things. Oh, prison. I guess that is an update. That's on multiple. So, prison update. So it's interesting. People call. I tell people my social media algorithm is so clean. I don't see all the crazy. So we did meet with IDOC, the Indiana Department of Corrections, the week before last, and they notified us that they were rescinding their letter of intent. So let me give you a little background. The letter of intent was signed at the end of last year with Governor Holcomb. Now, the letter of intent was really truly just was a letter of intent, but with that, it was really about Michigan City having a say in what happens to that site. There was nothing financial from the city. There was no deed that was transferred. First of all, I would never accept it because it takes $500 million to remediate it. So there was a lot that was going to have to happen, whether it was federal dollars, federal, state dollars. But again, that was not something. I was like, what? You listen to some of the comments, it's like, that's not even a true statement. The acceptance of that would have had to be tied to a lot of dollars. So our concern is that we don't want an ICE detention center in our backyard. So I did draft a resolution for the city council. It's going to be on their next agenda. I've also drafted letters of support. So we have letters of support coming from the chamber, the EDC, our state legislators, and from our office stating that, hey, we still want to collaborate when the time comes, but we don't want this in our backyard. So that is really the true gist of us sending a package down to the governor's office next week. The other piece of that is the fact that we're in the midst of our Ready 1.0 study, that we're 3/4 of the way through our reimagination study for that site. When we spoke to them, we asked them, we said, hey, we're in the middle of this thing, and we have synergy and we have people engaged. Is that a problem? And they said no, they will still continue to partner with us to give us information. So that was a good sign. But what I didn't like was the fact that they said that there's an uptick in needing to incarcerate people and needing 1,000 beds. And that was like a trigger word in the sense that 1,000 beds, I saw an article that talked about 1,000 beds. So hopefully that is not the case. If you would like to lend a letter of support or would like access or a copy of a sample, let me know. And we will get that to you. If you can get those to me by early next week, we'll include that as a part of the package to the letter to the governor and to the Department of Corrections. So we'll add as many letters that people will supply. We'll include all of them. So that's kind of where we're at. They're saying that, they need beds, and Westville is still on track, but it's not enough beds to keep up with the number of people that are being incarcerated. That's what we were told. Any questions around that?
Well, along that, I thought they wanted to use Westville for ICE.
No, Westville is a $1 billion project that is for the inmates, the current inmates, and for ISP for the West Side.
Oh. I guess I read the article wrong because I thought they were going to just stop Michigan City ISP going to Westville and use Westville for
I read a few misleading articles, but that's not what was relayed to us.
Okay, I misunderstood.
And I spoke directly to the Department of Corrections, their superintendent. So that's not what was relayed to me. Yes.
So we're sending the letters, just letting them know our position on having ICE prisoners there. Is there has there been word or any documentation that that's where they're planning on sending them? We're just heading it off at the pass.
Yes.
Possible.
Proactively.
Are we aware of any other communities whose such letters have made any difference when it came to turning any facilities into ICE across the country? Are we aware that they were effective in any way?
I don't know that,
Okay.
but it's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
They were all at the White House yesterday, calling Indiana legislators.
Yes, ma'am. Drew, we got Leanne.
Mayor, do you want handwritten letters to be delivered to your office, or is email fine?
Email is good.
Okay.
So I have a sample letter that I can send, and you can just cater it to however you would like to do it. You can email it, we can print it, we can put it in the format. Handwritten, we'll scan it in. Someone dropped the letter off today, I scanned it in to attach, so that'll be fine. Any other questions about the prison? Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. What were we leaning towards doing with that property had it been?
There really wasn't like a leaning to anything. It's really, we've received community input and all the feedback, and they're going to give us multiple options. So it wasn't like, but the last, we thought the meeting was for, so we've been requesting to get inside the prison and to get the layout of the prison. And so we thought we were getting an update on where we were with that. And they were like, hey, we're rescinding the letter. And I was like, oh, okay. So, but they said they're still open, to having those conversations and allowing us to do some more things around that. So that's the feedback that we've received. Anything else around the prison? All right. Any updates on the Marquette Mall? We know that part of the property was purchased by Time and Blank. That's the extent of it. I know that the Marquette Theater was sold. Yep. No, it was sold. So it was sold, and they're working through their master planning of Marquette Mall. So that's kind of where that's at. We haven't heard anything else in reference to the Marquette Mall. Strebel Pine. Anybody here from Sanitary District? I meant to get this answered. And Kelly, you might want to take this one down. Will the south entrance be open this winter? So that was one of the things that we wanted to make sure, because I know they closed part of Strebel Pond down this last year. The other thing, Highway 20 in Michigan City area between Hitchcock and Johnson Road, can signs, and I see Sean is in here, signs be posted to have trucks to use the right lane, and also the speeds are excessive, so we may have to get Captain Jesse on that. Why are we not addressing the issues concerning race and race relations in the city? How does this impact our approach to solutions to some of the decision-making outcomes we come up with? And please clarify.
I'll clarify, that was my question. The clarification is, when we're looking at solutions for the violence that's going on, a lot of times what happens is in our quest to come up with a solution, sometimes what happens is, even if the solution seems innocuous, it always seems to disproportionately affect the African American community. That's a concern for me. I want to make sure that, yes, we are coming up with effective solutions, but the end result isn't going to disproportionately affect our community in a negative way.
All right.
So that's my concern.
Well, that's why when I did the invite, predominantly was African American for that roundtable. So what I will say, because it's the African American community, is that there are some things that we have to deal with internally with our own, and I get that. But that's why I invited younger people to the table to have the conversation. Because what happens, I'm just going to say us older people, seasoned people, we think we know what we know, when what I heard from them in the room was something different than what we were saying. And it was. So I think we have to continue those conversations, and they're going to have to lead those conversations. It can't be us trying to tell them when they're closer to the issue. You know, when I need to know something, I call my daughter, and then she makes a few phone calls, and then I get the street talk. It's not from me knowing, because I'm not out in the streets. So, I mean, these kids all grew up together with some of our police officers, grew up with some of the same individuals. So it's not going to be us old heads, and I'm just going to say it that way, that's going to decide. We can talk about it, we can have the conversation, but if they're not at the table to say what they're going to say, we're not going to change anything. So that's why I had them all in the room, because I said, okay, I heard from y'all. How about y'all under 40? What y'all got to say about it? Because that's where it's going to be. They're closer to it. They're dealing with it. They're their friends, their family members, my family members. So the conversations have to be internal. It's not a big group like this because they're not impacted like we are, right? So that's what it has to be. But again, I'm expecting, and they know, I pulled them all aside, they know they're going to have to lead this conversation. And that's how I'm dealing with it. Let's see. My concern is about our young people. Can we establish a program for the mentally challenged, or get information where we can advise them for counseling for themselves and their family and parents if needed? And help for our homeless, how can we help? That's loaded. So, couple of things. Yes, ma'am.
That was my question. I'm out there a lot, so, I'm out in the community a lot, and I see the young people. I see some who are homeless, and I have conversations with them. So you say that we don't get involved. Well, we don't. As older people, we do not get involved as we should. We don't. It's like a tribe. We have to communicate with our young people.
I'll repeat it.
Okay. We have to.
I'll repeat it. Yep, I'll repeat it.
Okay. We have to communicate with our young people. It's a one-on-one. From the heart touches the heart. We can't just stand by and watch kids just walk up and down the street and not say anything to them in a nice way. I know a lot of of us. Older people are scared to speak with young people, but they want help out there. And I know for a fact. I walk out there at the Gardenia Park. I've talked with some kids who have not been home or are sleeping in the street. And this is what causes a lot of the trouble, because these kids have no place to go. So I'm looking for information. The president of the city council was at our neighborhood meeting, and she was making some suggestions to you. So she says that we could, you have that round table inside the city hall where we could pick up information. So when I'm out there, I got that information to give to the parents or give to the child. And I think it should be given out to us, the elderly people, so that when we see these children out here, and that's what they are, they're children, and we're alienating ourselves from them by putting them in a category and say, this is a bad group of kids, Well, if you don't know the kids, you got to get to know them.
I'll give you, so what we're talking about homeless teens in one regard, and then just mental health in the other. So I'll give you an example. And I suggested, we were talking about, what are ways that we could build trust with the homeless population. And they said, we already offer a lot of services, and that's why we have a higher homeless population. Well, there was a young man that came up to my car over at the Dollar. I'm sure he's living in an encampment. And he came up, he knocked on the door, and he said, hey, ma'am, are you the police? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Because he saw the logo on the car, and I said, no, I'm not. He said, I'm just hungry. I said, okay. I said, I'll go get you something to eat. So I went into Dollar General. He said, can I bring my girl? Brought his girlfriend. I said, yeah, y'all can spend $30. I'm going to get you what you need. I said, look, I don't want you in here stealing. I said, I'm going to get you something to drink. I know it's hot outside. He said, no, we're trying to get it together. I said, I'm just telling you, I don't want to come trespass you over here. I said, but I'm going to get y'all some food, and I want to make sure that you got something on your stomach, because it's hot out here. I don't want you passed out here. I said, but I don't want you in here stealing. Because when I walked in, I'm walking around, lady was like watching them. I said, no, they ain't here with me. But they thanked me for having that conversation. And I saw that young man at GFS another time. And so my thing is, until we build trust, we had a gentleman coming into City Hall every single day during the wintertime. And someone said, well, I said, no, leave him alone. He don't bother anybody. He comes in, he's thoughtful. He doesn't say anything. When it was going to be extremely cold, we had the police come, bring him a cold pack, for the weather, because until you build relationships with individuals, they're not going to get help. It's just a fact. And, one of the things that I know, we sent 3 people to training, to a conference. I'm looking for a low threshold place for the homeless. We need to get something where I don't care if they're hungover, in my opinion. A lot of us in here been hungover. We just happen to have a place to stay, right? But my thing is, we got people out on the streets that are battling something, and until we provide some services and go to them and build trust with them, they're not going to get help. That's a long-term thing. So if you're willing to be on the homeless task force and be a part of a street team of some sort, you let me know. We can do that. We can use opioid money for that, right? That's something that can be done. That could be a solution. But they have to build trust in order for that to happen. And there are models that work. Right now, people are just sending people on the bus and on the train or wherever to get here. People can say that's not happening. It is happening. It is happening. They're coming from South Bend. They're coming from everywhere. So that's something that we all need to think about. And if you're willing to do that, you let me know. We'll make that happen. But I think we don't want encampments. We had a fire behind Walmart. That happened, was that last year or this year? The time is flying. Yeah, we have encampments. People are living in tents in the woods. And they got propane tanks, and they're cooking food. So, and again, a lot of it is mental health. We got one social worker that is grant funded. Half of it is through a grant, the other half is through our opioid money. That's all we got, for the whole city. So that's where we're at.
Well, all these empty buildings we have in town, they can't, like the old hospital or something, all these empty buildings, all these empty I'm sure it's an insurance issue. Always comes down to money.
Yes, it
But
does.
can't they kind of use one of these buildings once in a while, especially in the winter?
I have a few thoughts.
I'd like to hear.
The old hospital building is full, though. It is being used. Yeah, I know. I don't know. But it's full. But there are opportunities. I think that we can. Yes, Major Becky.
It's really easy to say, these old buildings, can't we just use one for shelter? And I wish we could. But at some point, we have to pay a utility bill for that building. We have to pay a water bill. We've got to make sure that it's safe in there. So we have to make sure the structure itself is solid. And then when you start putting people in there, you have to have a staff. And, that can run $30,000, $40,000 a month. So where does that money come from? I so wish we could open up so many of these buildings and provide that, but it's a bigger issue than just opening a building and letting people stay.
Yeah.
And if anybody of you know where we can get the funding to do that, talk to me, because
Yeah.
our heart is there.
I think that they should establish a staff. I've seen it, television is different from being in real life, but establish a staff. Put those old people, it's not old people, but put the homeless to work. If it's cutting yards and giving them a job so that they can pay for the utilities. Give them back their self-worth. So
That's why we got the homeless shelters we have. Those people are working. That's a requirement. I'm talking the ones that are walking low threshold that aren't capable or on disability. It's a thing. I don't think people realize it's a mental health thing. And so they're not going to go mow lawns. So we're going to have, it's a bigger conversation that we need to have about homelessness. Yes, ma'am.
If you are concerned about some people that may be living in a woods, what do you do? It's not that they're breaking the law necessarily, or they're not causing problems. You have the one social worker, you said.
And she does.
She go out and
She
check on
has.
them?
She has.
I think because it's a little risky for the individual resident if they hear there's someone, I'll just say within a mile of them or something, living in a woods.
We can talk about the training too. Yeah.
To go and check on them. They don't know you, you don't know them.
Yep.
So what's a person to do if they'd like to at least have that checked out, but not comfortable going by themselves?
And maybe, well, I'll let you say what you're going to say, then I'll tell you.
So our social worker, Jocelyn, is part of, we do have officers that are trained in crisis intervention, who know some of the resources and the way to build relationships with those individuals. If you have any questions about somebody in the encampment, feel free to send Jocelyn the information. Part of that CIT, there's a team that she works with of officers that goes out and documents, provides resources, try to continue to build those relationships to get people to take the services adequately, even if it comes down to getting ID, getting back on their medications, getting into drug recovery. Jocelyn works well with not just what we do, but Salvation Army, other industry, other social organizations throughout the community. So we do try to, or she does do that.
And maybe that's something we think about, because I've been a part of the crisis intervention team, and the goal was to train all of the county officers So we've trained the Sheriff's Department, Michigan City Police, we had some from Westville, LaPorte.
40% of law enforcement in LaPorte County is CIT trained. Drug Free Partnership got a grant. That was 2 years. I'm sorry, my bad.
Yes.
My bad about that.
So the crisis intervention team, maybe we can have a discussion, Marty, about bringing that training to just our community and having some community members participate in something. Because we do role playing around mental health. I do a lot of the role playing. I do. I freak out on them a little bit. So, but again, it's a great opportunity to see how officers react to different situations, right? And every time the officer didn't react the way I thought they should, I escalated more and more and more. Because we need people trained to deal with all types of people. And people also need to understand that dealing with different types of people, that could be race, gender, all of that is included when you're dealing with somebody who's having an episode. So we want to make sure that officers are trained for that. Anything else around homelessness? All right. Will there ever be extended night bus service? No. Let me. Our bus service is subsidized. So we receive half our money back for our bus service. Our bus service is heavily subsidized. A lot of transit organizations in what they call urban areas are subsidized heavily. So we really wouldn't be able to afford bus service if we weren't subsidized. So that's why our service is the way it is. Now, I do believe that there's an opportunity to think differently on how we do bus services. I don't like the big buses, but I think we can get more done with smaller transit, but that's just my opinion. We are in the middle of a grant that requires us to, purchase certain types of transportation, our routes, and if we start having more opportunities, I think there's an opportunity with our manufacturers to have a conversation about, their start and stop times and figuring out if they're willing to pay into some type of transportation for those shifts to get, if you need workers, you should be willing to help pay for transportation and get them there. I've seen other communities do that when they open up a new manufacturing plant in Michigan where they knew all the people were 30 minutes away, and they had shuttle service back and forth between that city to get people working. So there could be an opportunity for something like that, but that would require a conversation with our manufacturers and some of our local businesses. I'm gonna come to that one last. I will, so there's two, did you print out that flyer, Kelly? Or did you ever get it? Yep. Can I get a copy of it? So there's a couple of things that are coming up. The Indiana plan. So the pre-apprenticeship program, we have 20 people registered, which is remarkable. It's been hard to get a few. So the Indiana plan is a pre-apprenticeship program. I'm going to talk about this one too. Is an opportunity. Michigan City is actually funding it. I would like to thank Prosecutor Sean Fagan and also the Laborers Union for helping to sponsor. They're sponsors for the program. The Indiana plan is a 2-week program, and every individual Michigan City resident, you have to be a Michigan City resident, will receive $200 stipend and a pair of work boots. Work boots are expensive. I know the Urban Enterprise Zone is probably going to help with some of the boots for some of the people that live in this zone, but the goal is really to at least give them what they need. Some of those things are quite expensive. So the goal is to get them pre-apprenticeship. I know the carpenters, we had Nick Pollock who came out for our open house, and he said they get direct entry into the Carpenters Union. So the goal is to get Michigan City residents prepared to get on these jobs. There are a lot of projects that are happening in Michigan City, and what better way to get them making good money but to be able to go right across town, get on a bike, walk if you need to get to work. So we're still doing signups. There is a requirement in September that you attend one of 2 orientations, and then the classes start in October. So right now we're at 20. We're confirming the residency right now. We didn't put a cap on it. Our goal was just to get 12, and we're at 20. So I'm happy, but now I got to go beg for more money. But that's a good thing. Having that many people is good. I was talking to the operators union, and they have 7 people in the apprenticeship program from Michigan City right now. So things are happening and starting to change, and the goal is to get our young people in these jobs. The goal is to have another Indiana Plan class in June, right after high school graduation, so that we can catch the ones that are graduating from high school. So the other opportunity, we have been partnering with Notre Dame. We were selected to partner with them. So there's a Michigan City Entrepreneurship Development Initiative. It's a 10.5-month program, and it's training. It's once a month, and there's different dates. There's modules. There's more information. I'm going to leave this because you can scan the code to find out more, but that begins September 27th. There is a program cost of $300, but the beauty of it is we have scholarships available. So if you don't have the money, don't let that be a deterrent. You can apply and you can get a scholarship. If you're a small business owner or aspiring business owner, this is an opportunity for you to get assistance over the next 10 months to get your business up and going and moving. So we are trying to provide the gaps for people in Michigan City to thrive. So this will be, you got more than one of these, Kelly? You got more than one of these?
Yeah, there's a whole staff.
Okay. So that is another opportunity. I thought I knocked on wood yesterday and couldn't get away from it. Let me talk about trash. Well, no, you know what, trash? It hasn't been that crazy. So, fee schedule. I said, look, this is new for everybody. So we have been, even with the citations, again, we have not been consistent enough. And I'm going to say this, and I'm just going to, my apologies in the sense that you get a different answer depending on who you talk to. I don't like that. I've told the team I don't like it. It's not acceptable. I know that. So my apologies up front for that. I know that we are rolling out the dumpster program finally, where we're going to be providing dumpsters for residents to take their things. I know they're large items. Oh, that's not the right phone. I know Chris Jagelski and I know Kelly is working on a new flyer and all of that. That will start like September 10th. It's going to be 2 days a week, 1 day during the week, and then on Saturday, we're putting dumpsters out at the airport. We needed an area that was big enough to take 4 big dumpsters. And it's costly. Some information, I don't know who sent that to me. Daryl, did you send me numbers today about so there were some numbers sent today. We did what we call clean sweep, and it was vector control, the street department, refuse, those groups. And it was take him the microphone. I need the numbers. To the tune of a lot of money. All right, thank you. So, as of 8/22, they did a total of 365 pickups, 222 street, 104 vector, 24 parks, 15 refuse. They collected 360,679 pounds of stuff. Between what date and what date?
Basically July and August.
July and August. picked up 360,000 pounds, 180 tons, were taken to the dump at a cost of $15,000. We ain't charged a dime for it, okay? We use ARPA money for beautification. That money's going away. But all I'm saying is we're trying to, you know, I'm like, just go get it. At this point, just go get it. We're going to figure that out, but go get it for now. If it's out there, go get it. $15,000 is what we spent just to do that outside of our daily stuff. And I think people don't realize that's a true thing. The cost is a thing. But I'm like, at this point, just go get it. If they call, go get it. I don't need arguments, just go pick it up, right? That's kind of where we're at. So that we can figure this out. But the dumpster program, that is going to be coming out. Hopefully we'll get that press release out by the end of this week or early next week to make sure that people know that it's going to be available to residents, to Michigan City residents, as who that's going to be available to. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I live within walking distance here, and I swear I've seen the same couches and chairs sitting out. But if
probably have.
smaller things like tables, wooden tables, wooden chairs. If they just bust it up and put it in the toter, wouldn't it be picked up?
No.
No? I thought if it got in the toter, it was gone.
Well, I would say the reason why garbage trucks have been torn up and damaged is because we used to just put everything in there. I mean, I've seen them put dressers, just crush it, and I think that's part of the thing that we're trying to let the public know is that's not acceptable. Then when a garbage truck goes down, everybody's mad. Well, we've abused them, right? We've abused them. So we're trying to get out of that. Fall cleanup. I don't think I have any information on fall cleanup because we're trying to address it with the dumpster program. So, and I will tell you, it was a mess. It was a mess trying to do fall cleanup, leaves, and then all of a sudden it snowed. It was like everything. So they are having those discussions, but I know having the dumpsters available, we hope that helps. But again, it has to be residents that have access to that. Yes, Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy Kolovic, 1316 Ohio Street. I went out to the recycling site on 1801 Kentucky Street. They need to do a better job of maintaining. The dumpsters are constantly overflowing. Went out there, they're dumping tires, they're dumping furniture, they're dumping pool tables. Yesterday, somebody actually dumped an organ out there. I mean, come on. I mean, it's a recycling site. It's not a garbage site. Come on, people. You can do better than that.
But they won't. Until we prosecute or cite people, or
You need to impound their vehicles.
I like it.
That's a county site, right?
Yeah.
I've called them various times to say, I don't know where you want me to put this electronic that's supposed to be recycled, but it's fallen out of your trailers. There's no room to put stuff. Do you ever come and get it?
They do.
Okay.
They do on a regular basis. It feels, soon as they empty it, it fills right back up.
I did have a question, only because I'm a little confused. And that is on the summers when we have compost pickup and trash pickup.
Same day.
It seems to be, oh, it is? Because it seems hit or miss, as sometimes they'll come with a different truck to put my compost in.
That's correct.
Yesterday, they put the compost in with the garbage and put it in the truck.
That's not supposed to
The purpose
happen.
of that was to save money on the weight of the garbage going.
That's not supposed to happen. Compost is separate from garbage.
Well, that's, the reality, however, is that doesn't necessarily happen. And maybe there's a reason, maybe a truck was down or something.
Over by Liberty Trail,
Okay.
that's not supposed to happen.
Okay, well,
All right. Yes, ma'am.
I've lived in Michigan City for a long, long time.
Yes.
And I don't ever remember an instant where we haven't talked about garbage, trash, yard waste, impossible things to put in your can, and impossible places to put them. And over that long time I've lived in Michigan City, everybody has offered a brilliant suggestion. But I really don't remember, and I usually keep unnecessary things for a long time, I don't ever really remember anything being spelled out to me exactly the way it's supposed to be.
I agree.
Now, your trash may not be my trash. My yard waste is always hysterical because I'm in my yard all the time. I don't like weeds and I'm trimming. In the fall, I have enough leaves to cover this room. Now, they're always where they're supposed to be, but I don't ever remember anything telling me if I put my leaves where they're supposed to be and the next day it snows, then, excuse me, do I have to bring them back in my yard and hope they blow somewhere else?
Right.
So I'm saying that maybe what we really need is to everybody decide, we can all send in our little notes as to what we want, name somebody that you should take the notes. But truthfully, all those years, I don't remember anybody telling me. And I have no idea what you mean does not fit in my,
Right.
is it the dark blue one? Is it that our garbage can?
Garbage can.
Okay. I don't remember ever anybody explaining to me so that I would understand it, what can't go in there. In other words, being a woman, if I can make it go in, I think it should.
Well, I will
Whoa,
say.
wait now. I hear a lot of laughing. Does that mean they agree or they disagree?
Well, I will say though, we did do a mailer and spell out what could go in the garbage can and what couldn't.
Right. And the same thing goes where my yard waste. How do I don't? No, it's not. Now, for instance, if I just dug for a tree in the back and 30 years ago, somebody buried a cement block because they didn't know where it went, then what do I do with that? Do I put it in my trash and cover it up with a little mud? Do I bang it up in pieces and put it in my garbage can? Or do I put it out there and when I see somebody come by, I have a couple bottles of water and I plead with them with tears to take it?
Yes.
It's not spelled out and I don't think anybody else that writes the plan knows.
Well, I will say this. We will strengthen that because we did send a mailer out that said what can and cannot go in your garbage can. We did. It was specific. And I know, but we did. And I had it, the only day I didn't bring it was today. I brought it to the last 4 meetings. It's specific, it went in the mail, and it went in the water bills. And again, we're just used to what we're used to. I'll just put everything in there and that's what we're gonna do. So I will make sure at the next 3 that I don't forget it, but it's very specific. It talks about what can and cannot go in there. It talks about construction debris. It talks about all of it, and we send it in the mailer. And I've been bringing it out and handing them out and giving them to churches and doing all that. So I've been trying to do that, but again, it takes time. This is giving the communication out is one thing, but people reading it is another.
Yeah, they don't care.
If anyone hasn't gotten one,
They don't
if you
read
give
it,
me your
they don't-
address before you leave, I'll just mail to you tomorrow.
Put it on the city website.
Yeah, we can't. You know what? That's a great idea. Put it on the city website. We'll do that. Any more cards? I'm trying to see. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I came to one of your first meetings, probably in the spring, where you had decided that you were going to charge people for picking up their.
Yes.
Which personally, I thought was an excellent idea.
We haven't started
I
yet.
don't know why you let that go to the wayside.
We didn't, but
The same people all the time in my neighborhood that have so much trash. So
some of them are being cited. So let me back up a little bit. Special pickups are one thing, and we hadn't because I got to make sure that our team understands that they got to be consistent and that everybody's doing the same thing. I don't want one person being charged this and one being that. But dumping and people with full yards of stuff, we're writing them tickets. We're writing them tickets.
I mean, I've lived in the same neighborhood for 50-some years, and it's the same people that throw out their mattresses and everything. So, you know, send them a bill when they call, tell
Gladly.
them it's so much, and you know.
I agree. I know we have set our sights on October 1 to kind of talk through that and what that looks like. We're going to do the dumpster program first and see what that generates, and then say, you know, after this date, this is what it is. But you're right. We got the fees, but again, I got to make sure that the team is all on the same page and not doing one group is doing it this way and another is doing it that way. We can't work in silos because that gets you in trouble when you're not consistent. So.
Same thing she said. I had my garbage pickup and the waste go into the same garbage can. And it's just happening lately.
Yeah, compost should not be going in the garbage can.
Well, and I think this all started when you had compost the same day as your trash.
Well, compost is the same day, but that's a training issue for our folks. Compost should not be going in the garbage trucks. So.
They did mine, but that's when the trucks broke down.
Did you have a question before? And then I'll come back to you.
Almost on the same line. My husband and I have lived in the surrounding neighborhood for 38 years. And within the last 2 years is the only time that I've been satisfied and pleased with the response that I've gotten when I had to call the office. Vector control, the street department cleanup. I either get immediate response or same day response. That makes us happy because it has never happened. And if we don't, a lot of times you have to leave the message on the voicemail. I get a call back within 48 hours. And that also makes us happy. The street cleaner is usually there on the same day when I call and ask. So we see that as progress. The other things, yes, mixing the garbage and the brick in the grass, that happens. But it makes us know that somebody is listening somewhere when we have our complaints.
It's a growing
We
pain,
appreciate
though. Thank you for that, and I'm glad the team is here to hear it, but I will say the anxiety I've had about it is like, oh man, trash, garbage, here we go again, you know, so yeah, so we're still working on it. That's a work in progress, but I will say, you know, we've hired some part-time loaders, because people too, it's a people issue too, having enough bodies. So I know that Chris has gone through quite a few. He's been hiring consistently since he got here. So now we're trialing some part-time loaders to try to keep enough people on the back of the truck as well, fresh bodies working. So and it gives us a chance to try new employees out too. They do a good job, they may become full-time employees, you know. So I think it just gives us an opportunity to try folks out before we hire them full-time. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. More on garbage, you know, because it's such a hot topic, but it affects all of us, so it's really not funny. The rules for household garbage are really easy. The only thing that's allowed to go in our domestic garbage cans is household waste improperly bagged. That's what's allowed to go in the garbage cans. The real question is, what is the average homeowner supposed to do when there is the odd concrete block, the odd piece of furniture? We're not talking landlords disgorging apartments, not that kind of stuff. In the course of our lives, we've got stuff that doesn't fit in the bin. What are we supposed to do?
Now that's supposed to be a special pickup. But again, we internally, when I say I'm talking about the city, needs to really spell that out, what that really looks like. If it's a couple of concrete blocks, I get it. But a lot of times, the pictures that I showed during the State of the City, those are people cleaning out full houses, which is unacceptable. We sent that in the mailer. You'll be charged for a clean out. You'll be charged for a clean out. DeMarcus back there in the code enforcement and that team, we've been citing those folks. They've been getting citations. I had one come in to try to negotiate $2,500 bill. I'm like, sorry. We told you to get a dumpster, and you still didn't get a dumpster. So now you got to pay the fine. One of the things that we're doing and that we're working towards too, and this is not going to be, somebody asked about landlords. We are working on creating a database that's accessible to our internal team and to external, that if you have outstanding fines or citations, you can't pull permits, you have to be penalized in some way. If you're going to be a consistent perpetrator of certain things, you're not going to be able to come into City Hall and get a permit or pull a permit or whatever that might be. So that's coming, and it has to, because we can't continue to spend resources on people who are just doing bad behaviors. So that will be happening. Okay, yes, sir. And then
I don't know if it's the work of, it's probably all, but the work of your administration or the quality of the people that are moving into Michigan City and fixing up dilapidated houses, or the mentality of Michigan City people is rising. But I've lived here almost 50 years, and I've never seen this city look better. I'm proud of Michigan City, and I'm in a business where a lot of my customers are people that come in from out of town, and they're tourists, and they come back, and they come back, and they come back, and they say the same thing. 10 years ago they came, and now they come and say, what happened? So we're all doing a great job. And I know you get all the hard work and all the stuff that isn't working very well, but there is a lot in this town that is working very well, and I thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, we still got 20 minutes. We'll come back to you.
Continue on the trash. I'm glad to hear that you're just saying, go pick it up and get it out of the way. So I know you said that July and August, you'll be running out picking things up. I think you missed a block, and I want to point out a couple of addresses. Can you get your pen out, please?
Well, give those to Kelly.
All right, so for the past 6 weeks, I walked by a couple of mattresses sitting out in front of 1102 Spring Street.
1102.
6 weeks, long time. There's bookshelves behind 1111 Spring Street. There's been over a month. There's weeds growing through them. So maybe you guys are missing it. Bushes and branches behind 1121 Spring Street for several weeks. You got your pen out? There's always,
Kelly,
garbage and debris behind 221 East 11th Street.
Spring Street and 11th Street.
There's a piece of furniture been sitting behind 1120 Pine Street for a month. I mean, I got to drive past this stuff every single day. And then on Detroit Street, between Franklin and Pine, I pick up a bag of trash every single week. I go there because it looks like crap, and that's my neighborhood, and I want to make sure it looks clean. So, hopefully these things are going to be picked up quick. Maybe tomorrow. That'd be great.
Spring Street,
I'm
Brett.
really tired of looking at it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, and then Tommy.
Hi, can you please tell me what's going on with the old Ton and Blank factory that's just been leveled on Center Street?
It's beautiful to see that, right? Clear. So we wrapped up one. We're wrapping up one brownfield grant, and we just got another one. Brownfield grants are monies that we have to support local cleanup for sites like that, so that we can spur development. And we still had some money left, so worked with the owner to try to figure out how can we get that taken care of, and it got done. So nothing's happening yet, but the goal is just to get it from being a blight. That's what it's for. That was what we were trying to do.
Part of my question was, since Ton and Blank bought half of Marquette Mall, do they plan to develop it retail or use it for, their supplies, their warehousing, whatever?
They plan to work with the city to help to develop that, to put a master plan together for that site. I don't see it for warehousing or anything like that. We see it as some type of mixed use, office, maybe housing, some other stuff. So no announcements or anything right now, but I think that's the goal, to make it a vibrant area.
Yeah, Tommy Kolovic, 1316 Ohio Street. It's budget time again. Are all the municipal employees going to get themselves a big fat raise this year, and we can do better than just an $1,800 mid-year bonus? Thank you.
Tommy, I'm going to get you. So let me say this. The goal, I've shared this with all of the different groups, the different departments. The goal is to give it 2% at least, but right now we're still looking to cut. We got to find another $1 million to cut still. So we're working through the budget. So I probably will do a workshop for the community on the property tax, the impact. I know that we're going to be doing a workshop for the budget. I'll roll out our budget in a couple of weeks, but I think I probably should do a workshop just for the public to understand why we're losing money based on the Senate Enrolled Act. Because there's a thing, I'll just give you some numbers. So Michigan City, net assessed value, and I'm just going to break it down really simply. Net assessed value is how we get our money, based on net assessed value. For the city of Michigan City, only 22% of our net assessed value is comprised of people who have a homestead exemption. That means they live in their house. Only 22%, unlike LaPorte and LaPorte County, where it's 37, 32%, we're at 22%. 40% of our net assessed value falls into the 2% bucket. The 2% bucket is rental properties, Airbnbs, small businesses, and guess what? In that bucket, right today, they don't get any tax breaks. We get the 2%. Starting next year, every year we're losing money out of that bucket. Next year they get a 6% break, then they get a 12%, then they get a 19%, all the way to 33.4% tax break. And all that money just poof, disappears from Michigan City. So $3.7 million in 2028 is what we're looking at as far as what we're going to lose. But it's going to continue to grow, what we're going to lose. So that, in a nutshell, is where we're at. That's what I'm dealing with today. So I'll probably do some type of workshop so that you all can see the pie graphs and all of that and what that looks like. But that's where we're at. So I'm still looking for $1 million and what to do with that. So who better to do that than me? But right. So I got, it's what it is. So yeah, maybe I need to play the lottery. So any other questions?
About the empty buildings, how long can a building sit empty? I think Wells Chair has been empty since I got out of high school, and that was in the 70s.
Which one?
It's on 20, Wells Chair. See, people don't even know where it is, it's been empty so long.
Just east of Franklin Street.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so there is, with code enforcement, if it's a vacant building or whatever, they have to register. But again, you can't force a private developer to develop or a private owner to do anything but to keep it up. Kinda, right? We have one question right here.
One more question. What are you doing with the arborist going around cutting down trees and stuff?
We need to, okay, I'm glad you brought that up. So, I don't think the press release has gone out, but the tree grant, so there was an award. So we did do a tree inventory for all the city trees. And it was awarded a couple weeks ago. And notification, we need to get those notifications out, at least so that public knows that it's been awarded. So They've identified priority 1, priority 2, the priorities on which ones are going to get done. So you're going to see tree trimming starting now until the end of, till sometime in November. November is the time frame. And then we also put in for a purchase order for tree replacements as well. So I know that's all happening.
Because I know there was a gentleman came out a couple months ago, and he's marked the trees.
Yes.
And they're
Yes.
pretty bad.
Yes.
So I was wondering how they're
Yep.
standing right now.
Yep, that was awarded, and so you'll start seeing trees.
Okay, great. Thank
That
you.
should start happening in the next 2 weeks.
333 trees.
333 trees.
Oh, I got 4 of them.
So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
yes.
I know, I assume there are other people like myself that came here specifically to talk about the data center or hear the latest. And I heard what you said, that you were out of the loop and you didn't have anything to present. So I appreciate your honesty on that. But I think it might make sense that anybody that particularly came here for that, there should be a list that you can send out, your office can send out with emails telling us when there is going to be that discussion with knowledgeable people so we can assemble again
Tuesday.
to deal with that.
The next city council meeting is Tuesday at 6:30. Next Tuesday at 6:30. That's the meeting. And let me do a little clarifying though. So I know there was comments about transparency and this didn't happen and so let me compare Porter County and some of the other counties to what is happening in Michigan City. So those data center conversations started with zoning. So they had to make a zoning change, so it goes before the Board of Zoning, it goes to the Planning Commission, some had an annexation. So they had all these bites at the apple to have a conversation about it. None of that has happened here. This is zoned M1. This is a brownfield site. This site has been empty. I've been back since 2003. My sister-in-law worked there. It's been empty since 2000 and
No, this Tentacle bought it, they kept $20 million worth of Fellow Pro and Champion inventory inside that building.
inventory is one thing, but when did people stop working there, right?
We quit making wipers there in 2013. I
There
worked
we
for
go.
18 years.
So, over 10 years, we've been making approximately $20,000 in taxes each year from that property. But it's been vacant as far as anybody working there or anything like that. There's no zoning change requirement. There's no annexation requirement. All they're asking for is an abatement. An abatement is a resolution and not an ordinance. So, the difference, you go to zoning, you got to go through all this process, you got to come back to the city council, you got to go through this process, then you go, if you get annexation, you do the process again, you go through planning, you go all these things. That's not the case here. It's zoned appropriately, they're asking for a tax abatement. So there's no back and forth between the zoning board, the planning commission, none of that. It's all one thing, an abatement. That's what it is. I know there's a group of community members and council people that are going on a bus trip tomorrow to a data center in Ohio. I think the Northwest Indiana Forum has put that on, and people are attending that to go see this data center. I did go do a visit over a month ago. I went to the data center in Hammond. That's on Lake Michigan. It's right on the lakefront next to a bird sanctuary. I went in, we drove up, I didn't hear anything. We go inside, still don't hear anything. They walk us through, they took us on a tour, which was shocking, that they took us on the tour. They open the door, you hear a whole lot of stuff. You close the door, you don't hear anything. I don't know what to tell y'all. That's what I experienced. That was my experience at the data center. And I don't know what else to say about that. I just know that that's what my experience was in making that visit. And to see it on Lake Michigan. And then also, I asked about the, generators. I said, hey, you know, they said, well, we test the generators, but we only have a maximum of 100 hours that they can actually run in a year. I said, 100 hours? That don't even get us through a couple of days. I mean, if something happened. So then they pointed out the bird sanctuary next door, and I'm like, well, they're not dead. But, you know, I'm just giving you my experience and what I experienced in the visit. But that's what I got out of it. And I was like, okay, this is interesting to see. But I will say that brownfield site is zoned appropriately. It's M1. And so there's no other steps to take.
No, I understand that. Thank you for that. But, you know, there are some concerns, particularly about energy use, and there are a lot of things that need to be talked about. Now, at the end of the day, it may be that makes sense to go ahead. But on the other hand, it may be that it doesn't make sense, and we don't want to sell out for, you know, to some corporation to sort of screw us in the long run.
No, I understand that. I think energy is a concern. I think they need to answer the questions at the meeting about energy. I think that's a valid concern. I know how much my bill is each month.
Yeah.
And I know how much it's gone up. So I think that's valid. I think they need to explain GenCo. I think that's a question. I think there was some confusion. I don't think it was explained appropriately. So I think
I don't think it has either. And what I'm saying is we need to make sure that the community is informed that this is going to happen, so that they can come and get their questions answered, because they need to be answered. Trust me is not a valid answer.
Right. No, I agree. I know that they, I think some FAQs were put out, but again, Tuesday, 6:30 is the meeting. And again, we're talking $20,000 is what we get today. I'm gonna talk numbers, so like I said at the beginning, so I'll repeat them. The tax abatement agreement is about $25.5 million. The tax increment piece of it, which is separate from this, is another $25 million. So we're talking $50 million. And it's just what it is in that sense. So I want to make sure that people understand those are two different buckets of money that are going to generate income into the city if the city council passes it. But I know that several members are going on that bus trip tomorrow to do the visit in Ohio. I think there's some community members that are going as well that oppose it, which I think is a good thing. I think the more information that people have, the better. And that's all, you know, like I said, my experience is the experience that I had. But again, I think the more that they're informed, the better. But I think GenCo and NIPSCO and all that should be explained in a better way for the public to understand it, because we all were confused.
Well, just in driving past there the last couple of weeks, I mean, they're working on it like crazy. So is it the data center that's doing all the work on it? And
No, so there's two projects, and let me explain that separately, because anytime anybody, that property, that facility had a low ceiling. So whoever goes into that building, let's say they don't pass and somebody else, that site prep work is going to happen. What happens is you got organizations like Phoenix or whoever, they go around and buy locations, and then they do this site preparation and then go find a tenant. That happens in every community. They'll buy a property for dirt cheap, and then they'll put a couple $1 million in it in hopes of finding a big dog to come and swoop in and move into that facility. And that happens every day. That's how we site selectors. This is what we deal with all of our sites. So the money that they spent is their own money right now. That's their own money. The city has not given an incentive. That money that's doing all that site prep is their money. City hasn't given them a dime. That's what they're going to the council for. That's what they're going to the council for. Yes. Any more? I got 2 minutes.
Oh, I have a fun question.
All right. Any more questions? We got last one.
Police fire department car wash, is that this week?
Police fire department car wash. Ooh, when is that?
Is it this weekend?
October 1st.
Oh, I thought it was.
And if you don't mind, please come to the beach this weekend for Oktoberfest. We got a lot of music, a lot of fun. We would love to see you. Terry's here from our event planner. We would love to have you all come out and spend your time at the beach this weekend. So thank you all again.